Welcome back to engVid. Today we are looking at how to structure an argument. In particular, we're going to be looking at an IELTS Writing Task 2 if you're doing the general paper. But this is a lesson that's relevant to anyone looking to improve their means of presenting two sides of an argument, anyone who's engaged in any type of formal writing. Okay, so here we have a sample question that you might be confronted with if you're doing an IELTS. It's not particularly well written itself, this question. It's really long-winded. They need to learn to be a little bit more concise, using a few less words. What we're going to do is we're going to read it and we're going to highlight or underline. I'm not going to highlight, I'm going to underline what the key words are, because this is what I recommend when you're doing something like this. So you just have, right, this is what I need to do, and you understand. Okay? Right, some people believe that teaching children at home is best for a child's development, while others think that it is important for children to go to school. Okay, right, so it's talking about home education. So I'm going to put so what's better for a child, going to school or not, is what that says in 5,000 words. What do I need to do? Discuss the advantages of both methods, so that's going to school or not going to school, and give your own opinion. Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Okay. So keywords here, I would say advantages, opinion, reasons. Well, obviously we'd put reasons. It doesn't need to tell us to do that for your answer, and include any examples from your own knowledge or experience. What do you think and why? Okay, I'm going to flip it over and show you how I would structure a 250 word answer to this question. Let's just think of that, 250 words. So that on a side of A4, that's like a side and a half, 1.5 pages. So, you know, you've got to have a good, 5 paragraphs in that? Let's see how to do it. Okay, so from the first page, we got that we need to be talking about homeschooling, saying whether it's good or bad, and giving our examples and experience. Okay? So maybe once you've read through your very long-winded question, you could just make a note similar to that, just to go, right, this is what I have to do. Okay, so what I've done here is I've written how I would write the introduction, and then I have provided some useful phrases for making points and expanding on them, expanding to grow. Okay, so with your introductory paragraph, you want to be giving the overall story. What's going on? Are many people using home education? Are lots of people going to school? What's the rough idea? Why are some people choosing home education? This is how I wrote it. Whilst the vast, that means the large, the bigger, majority, so majority, most people of people choose to have their children educated in mainstream, that means sort of normal government education, a growing minority, small amount of people, enjoy the freedom of a less structured approach. Okay, there's some quite sort of advanced words in here. Let's just make sure we fully understand. So vast, big, so most people. Vast majority of is just another way of saying most people. Choose to have their children educated in mainstream education. Structure. In terms of structure, that means you're doing this at this time, this at this time. Okay, approach is a way of doing something. I approach London by using the M3 motorway. Okay, approach is your way to something, approach to education. Okay, so what kind of phrases are going to be useful to get talking about something? What are the kind of phrases that you can use again and again and again when it comes to writing an essay like this? First one thing that is noticeable about home education, students in normal schools, is that they have loads of homework, for example. One thing that is noticeable, so I can notice, it strikes me. A key point is that home educated children will probably do better if there are other home educated children nearby that they can do activities with. Another example of an advantage for home education is that there are lots of resources available, perhaps. I have noticed that in government schools the standards of education are rising. Yep, it's talking about we've been asked to talk about our experience. So phrases like I have noticed is exactly what you're meant to be doing. Go into as much depth as you can. Expanding, let's grow these ideas. This is significant because this is important because it shows that this is, so let's think of a point here. It's good for children to go to school because they make friends. This is significant because it will help them to develop their social skills. This is a crucial difference because home educated children may have to spend more time on their own. Words for comparing and contrasting. Okay, so we've had whilst, we had it here. Whilst students in mainstream schools, in normal schools, have a timetable of homework that they are meant to do each week, okay, and then I say something about home educated children. In contrast, home educated children are free to choose what they want to do. In comparison, okay, another word for comparing. In comparison, students in normal schools do. Although, okay, so this sort of shows that there is a change. Or good to have this at the beginning of a sentence. Although students in mainstream education have access to theatres, swimming pools, not many of them will be using those facilities after 3 p.m. when most children go home. Okay? Or you could have it in the middle of a sentence. In mainstream schools, students have access to these facilities, although for some, okay, so I'm showing a difference. Words for building, okay, also, okay, here's another idea. Another point is that, okay, moreover, now I'm going to build on that idea. Okay, so moreover, it's just a word for saying, here's some more reason about that. In addition, okay, it's a smart way of saying and, okay, addition, to add something. You need to have a conclusion. So you're going to start that overall, and you'll have this sort of overall picture of both sides. Okay, so we've got lots of phrases. How would you actually organise your answer in terms of the paragraphs that you write? So I would suggest an introduction where you're looking at the story so far, the big picture. I would then maybe do 2 paragraphs on the first side, big reason, another big reason, really talk about it in as much detail, and then go on to the other side and have 2 main paragraphs about the other side of the argument, and then have a conclusion at the end. So that would be 6 paragraphs in total, which would give you about 250 words. Okay, very quick recap. How do we do a writing task like this? You go through the question, you highlight, you underline, so you understand exactly what you have to do. You plan before you write. You plan these paragraphs, okay? So you go, right, what are the main ideas here, okay? So I'll have a quick introduction, I'll say that, then I'll have my first paragraph, I need to say that. In my second paragraph, I'll say that. My third paragraph, I'm looking at the other point of view. My fourth paragraph, I'm going to be talking about home education, making that point. Fifth paragraph is that other point of the argument, and then we finish with a conclusion, maybe giving one more idea in the conclusion. Hope that's clear. Remember, time spent planning is time well spent. Fail to prepare and you prepare to fail. Why don't you prepare to succeed by doing today's quiz? See you in the next one. Toodaloo!